I'm not naming no names, but I wish you guys knew how easy it is to fake being wealthy for the internet here in LA. A lot of those big money guys and your favorite creators don't live where you think they live. So up the street from here, we have this $100 million mansion that costs $90 an hour to rent out. A lot of creators rent that space once a week, film their content, and make it look like they live there. Rent a Lamborghini or a Ferrari, 99 bucks an hour. It gets crazier because most people in LA have a following. Because to be a model or an actor, there's a lot of casting calls you can't go to unless you have a following. What used to happen is when you got with an agency, they would dump you a bunch of bots. Now most people realize how that damages an account, but the metrics are still there. And since most people don't know how to do that, they end up buying followers, likes, comments, shares, everything. So they can go to casting calls and keep their agency. There's even more because there's agency funded houses out here. Anyone who's part of that agency can go film there and make it look like they live there. And they encourage you to do this because it looks better for the internet. But there's even more because we also have designer rental services. It's between $300 and $800 a month, and you get bags, shoes, sunglasses, clothing, anything you need, all designer. Just wear it, get your pictures, and then send it back. As long as you don't ruin it, you don't have to pay for it. You can fully construct a lifestyle out here of wealth. And that's part of the reason we're starting to get a bunch of influencer debt resolution companies now. Like, you don't need to feel bad about yourself. Just wear the 10-cent shirt from the thrift store. Nobody cares, I promise you. Build your content around something else. You don't have to look rich to be a creator.
Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, hello, welcome. This is Essential Patience and I Am Patience. And on this channel, we have conversations about societal impacts on our lives and our finances and how we can take back power to make more intentional decisions in our finances and in our lives. So if that sounds good to you, be sure to subscribe to this channel, like this video, and share this channel with other people that you think will be helpful towards. Today, we'll be discussing a topic that I've called overconsumption is the reason why we are broke. And as we're having this conversation, what I hope to accomplish is a reflection on our lives, on our individual lives. Every point probably will not be something that you're dealing with. Maybe you're one of those people that somehow I'm hitting all the points in your life. We can have a conversation about the parts in our lives that we are maybe not being so intentional about. Maybe we're being impulsive about, and it's causing us to have finances that are less than optimal. Whenever I see people's budgets, or even when I see my budget, I always see areas that I could improve. And that's a good thing because it means that we have a way of taking back that power and bettering our finances. So as we're going into this conversation, I hope you go into it with an open mind, and whatever ideas, opinions that you have, be sure to leave them in the comment section and we can continue discussion below. So as we're deep diving into this topic, we have to begin with what is overconsumption, and then we can go into how it affects our finances. Overconsumption is the excessive use of resources or spending more than is necessary. It is buying things that we don't need or can't afford, often driven by the desire to keep up with others. And here are some examples of the most common types of overconsumptions that we see. Even though everybody does not participate in the exact same type of overconsumption, or we don't overconsume the same type of product, there's some that are very much standard, at least in the United States. So one would be buying a new smartphone, say every single year, even though the one you have from the year prior works just fine. Or buying clothes to go to a new event every time. You know, people who buy new clothes to go on vacation, I'm sure if you're going to a different country, they've not seen your clothes that you currently have. So why would you buy new ones? They've not even seen your old clothes. It can also look like upgrading your car every year or every couple of years, even though your current car works perfectly fine. We all overconsume in different ways, some more than others. It could also look like dining out a lot or ordering in a lot, even though you can go get groceries and cook. But you're lazy too, so instead you're overconsuming food from the outside. So some could be expensive, some could be more on a smaller scale. I think sometimes when we talk about overconsumption, people think of big, massive ways of overconsumption, like buying a ton of designer purses or a bunch of designer shoes. It happens, and we see those more obviously because it happens with rich people. On a smaller scale, we can take a look at ourselves and realize that maybe there's some things that we overconsume more than necessary. Even if it costs like $1 each, it still adds up. But let's be honest, the big things, the most expensive things, hit harder. And people are continuing to spend a lot of money on luxury goods, designer products, tech gadgets, dining out, and luxury vacations. While these things are enjoyable, they often lead to financial strain when not managed wisely. And it's easy to chalk it all up to inflation. Everybody blames inflation for everything. Groceries are too high, so let me go eat out because somehow that's cheaper. A lot of conversations come up today about financial strains. People will just say, it's inflation, it's inflation. And by the way, inflation has really decreased. But even prior to 2020, people's financial decisions and bad financial decisions at that landed them in financial destitute and in bad situations where they were broke, had to file for bankruptcies. Bankruptcies are not a new thing. People have been filing for them for years and decades prior. Bad financial decisions, bad financial management has always existed. We can attribute some things to inflation, but we can't just say, well, it's inflation, because inflation is always happening. Typically talking about 2% inflation per year. So it's always ongoing and it's never going to stop. It's actually good for economies to have some level of inflation, and you don't want deflation because that can also be bad for an economy. So it's not going anywhere, and that's why it's important to look at our finances and start making the changes there. And during the uncertain times of 2020 and 2021, people were complaining about the cost of items and how things were going up. And of course, that was very valid. But in the same token, luxury companies and companies of bigger brands experience overwhelming surge in sales during and after those times. You would think during a global crisis, people will save money. And some people did actually, but not everyone. In fact, a lot of people were able to save money on things such as transportation, maybe buy new clothes for work, having to go on vacation because they couldn't go anywhere, so they stayed home and they had to save that money. But all that money was burning a hole in some people's pockets and they just had to spend it. Cartier reported a 30% increase in sales during the last 3 months of 2021. The House of Prada reported 8% more in sales, and these numbers surpassed pre-2020 levels. And let's not forget the Birkin craze that even came later 2022. So much so that during the third quarter of 2022, Hermes had already beaten their fourth quarter 2019 levels. And to think we were in a global crisis, but people still had to have their Birkin bags. A 2022 article in Fortune called Gen Z and Young Millennials have found a new way to afford luxury handbags and watches living at home with mom and dad, says Morgan Stanley. This was published, and let me tell you, they were onto something. Because in that same month, another publication, Entrepreneur, published an article titled, "Nearly half of young adults live with their parents to save money, but they're spending big on luxury goods." And in that article, they did report that about 48% of young adults between the ages of 18 and 29 were living at home to save money, but their savings were fueling the luxury goods economy. More than 60% did not even pay any rent to their parents. 40% did, but even within that, only about 60% were paying anywhere over $500. 40% were paying under $500. When young adults free up their budgets for daily necessities, they simply have more disposable income to be allocated to discretionary spending. We see it as fundamentally positive for the luxury industry. So all the people who are staying at home because they can't afford to pay rent or rent an apartment on their own are not staying home and actually saving money, because their money is going to the luxury goods industry. So we know that if they're already staying home and live with their parents, we're not talking about just upper class people or ultra rich people. We're talking about everyday people as well. It's no longer luxury goods just for the rich and famous. Luxury goods now is everywhere. And the boom was not just in the luxury markets pertaining to clothes, shoes, and purses, but also cars. More than ever, Americans are trading in their old cars for new ones. And I'm not talking about Toyota or Honda. I'm talking $80,000 plus Teslas, BMWs, and trucks. Maybe it's just me, but I've been seeing a lot of high-end cars on the roads in the past few years. And maybe it's just because cars have gotten nicer. There's that too. But I do think I started seeing a lot of nice high-end cars in my area after we got out of our houses. And my short time as an engineer in the automotive industry as a quality engineer made me hyper aware about the cost of new cars. In September 2022, the average amount financed for a new car loan at financing companies was $40,155.68. And today, it is at $38,519.27. And we're not going to blame this drastic increase on just interest rates. As of September 2023, the interest rate on average was about 6%. So we know that it's not the whole story. It's just a small part of the story. But the bigger portion of it is the actual cost of the car, the MSRP. And when you hear these numbers, you're thinking, well, it has to be rich people, right? The rich people are the ones fueling the luxury goods economy. But let's take a look at the realistic numbers. Only about 18% of US individuals make over $100,000 and up. When we take that to households, it's about 35% of households making above $100,000 combined income. But that does not equate to rich. If we decide to put the number of rich as $250,000 for a household, then we were looking at about 7% of households being considered rich. That's even relative. $250,000 in Texas is a great amount of income, and in most parts of America. But it wouldn't necessarily make you very rich in, say, California, New York, Seattle. That's more so a good income, but not a rich person's income. So it's relative, but I think it's a good number that no matter where you live in the country, it still goes pretty far. But an article was published by Bloomberg in 2023 June stating that 1/3 of American households making $200,000 and above were living paycheck to paycheck. So from there, we can make up some conclusions because that's a lot of money to still be living paycheck to paycheck. And most people will say, well, if I made $200,000, I would not be living paycheck to paycheck. But remember, it's the habits you have before. If you're already living paycheck to paycheck on half of that, you will more likely than not be living paycheck to paycheck even when you make that amount, because lifestyle inflation is a thing. Lifestyle creep is a thing. But going back to spending on luxury goods, MarketWatch reported the wealthiest families spend around 65% of their consumption on luxury goods and 35% on necessities, according to the study, which looked at spending habits between 1984 and 2014, and this is for the top 5% of earners. And while that may not be shocking, what is slightly shocking is that the middle class did not come too far after, because middle income households spends 50% on luxuries and 50% on necessities. And even the lowest income families, bottom 5% of earners, were spending 40% on luxuries and 60% on necessities, according to the study's author. And this was slightly alarming because if you're lower class or middle class, most of your money should be going towards your necessities and even savings versus luxury goods. But it doesn't always equate to that in real life. People still want to enjoy luxury products, luxury experiences. And it's not that you can never do it. I think we just have to do it in moderation and still consider our financial state before wanting to rush into it, forgo all of the things that we should be thinking about and just enjoy a luxury experience. A recent article by the University of Michigan called "Why Designer Brands Keep the Middle Class in Poverty, the Marketing of Economics Behind" explains more of this. And I'm going to read a section to you that I thought was very impactful. Now that we know the strategies behind how designer companies control their supply chain, how do they intentionally target middle class consumers? And is it economically sustainable? Regardless of how involved or removed one is, everyone from a young age can point to a fashion influencer or famous actor. Designer companies know the power of influencers, and this is precisely how they target a younger audience. For example, CEO of luxury fashion company Golden Concept exclaimed, "When people like Neymar, Cristiano Ronaldo, and the Kardashians products, they become very visible. Utilizing celebrities, publicly, promotes designer products to their fans, and sells a lifestyle along with the goods. Lower class consumers would buy goods to relate to influencers, emitting a perception of having wealth. This has proven to be successful in stimulating economic growth. In the first 9 months of 2023, Louis Vuitton had a 14% growth in revenue. In essence, designer industries have played their cards right in maximizing their profits. They hold themselves to the highest standards, refusing to discount anything. In doing so, it attracts celebrities to their products, which outreaches to middle-class consumers. And social media has done a very good job with promoting this lifestyle. I mean, the algorithm seems to love luxury products. If anything, it's almost impossible to go on TikTok, Instagram, even on YouTube and not see at least one video of some sort of luxury haul, luxury product being revealed. Those things are literally golden to the algorithm. And celebrities and influencers perpetrate this very well because they want to sell you a lifestyle. They want to show you the life they live. Some of them real, some of them not. Some of them exaggerating their lifestyle.
Present, which is from my parents. I got this gorgeous Rolex.
Starting strong, we have this Rolex, $12,900.
My grandmother, I got this gorgeous Kelly.
Keep in mind, y'all, that's the resale value. It was probably like $12,000 or something. I don't know how much Birkins cost.
Here is a little Pure Alhambra
Pure Alhambra pendant, $3,600. I will say I've never seen anyone with the Pure Alhambra line.
the matching earring.
Pure Alhambra ear studs, $3,500.
The matching one in white mother of pearl.
More Pure Alhambra ear studs, $3,550.
The bracelet.
Pure Alhambra bracelet, $6,600.
I got this little Loewe crossbody bag.
Loewe bag, $690.
Also got this gorgeous like denim corset top.
Frame corset top, $248.
Got this gorgeous skirt.
And other story skirt, $139.
A new pair of Eberjay pajamas.
Eberjay pajamas, $138.
Mama also got me this little LV Vivian in like solid chocolate, so it is edible.
Of course, I tried to find out how much that Louis Vuitton pastry cost. Couldn't figure that out, but I did find the pastry chef behind it. Like, I can't even deny how cool this looks. I just know that's some of the best chocolate you've ever put in your mouth.
Okay, so the grand total for this birthday haul is $55,915.
And we've seen exposés of influencers who are pretending to live a high life and flying in first class when they're actually not. And it's so easy nowadays to fake so much because of photoshopping, renting an Airbnb and pretending you're living in a luxury villa, or even renting a car and then pretending it's your car, taking a whole bunch of pictures, posting it. And that reaches out to the regular people, the middle class, the lower class people who see that and think these people are living a high life. I want a part of that. I want to live like that. Maybe if I live like that, my life will be so much better, so much easier. Maybe I will be able to attract all of these opportunities that they have if I pretend to be like them. And instead, it puts you into financial ruin, more so than them, because some of them do have more substantial income coming in, even though they're living way above their income and they can still go broke. You'll probably go broke faster trying to emulate them because it takes way more for you to pretend to be rich than for them who are already receiving a lot of money to pretend to be even richer than they are. This culture of overconsumerism contributes to the rising consumer debt. Credit card balances increase as people spend more than they earn, trapping them in a cycle of debt and financial insecurity. And not only are people's credit card balances rising, they're also doing buy now, pay later. So they know they can't afford it now, but they'll buy it and then every 2 weeks or so, they will pay for the item. And then of course there is the monster of payday loans, which has become so easy and accessible, like on apps, phones, that people don't even know that this is considered a payday loan, where they would borrow money at astronomical interest rates. And I do have a video called the monster known as payday loans. I think I would in the future revisit the topic because it has become even worse and more accessible in the hands of young people. But all of this takes back our financial footing for a better future, and instead allows you to enjoy the now. If you're even able to enjoy it knowing you're in so much debt, that you're going to have to work so much harder, you're going to have to invest so much more to reach financial success in the future. So we need solutions. We can complain about this topic all day long. We need solutions. So what are some solutions that I personally put in place for myself and that maybe you can try to use in your life to ensure that you're not falling for over-consumerism, not just because it's bad for your finances, but because it's also bad for the environment. It's just not sustainable. Here are a few that I have outlined that hopefully would help guide us in a direction that is more healthier and improves our relationship with money. Number one is to create a budget. Track your income and expenses and understand where your money is going. Allocate funds for essentials, savings, and discretionary spending. And have the mentality of, if it's not in the budget, I'm not buying it. You can put it in the budget for next month, next year, but if it's not in the budget currently, you will not buy. Of course, that does not apply to emergencies. We'll get there later. The next step is to distinguish need versus want. Before making a purchase, ask yourself if it is necessary or a desire. Prioritize your needs and limit your spending on wants. This can become tricky when it comes to some necessities that can blur the lines of necessity or luxury. So for example, a bed. I need a bed to sleep in. It's really good to have a mattress and a bed. Well, I can justify that, well, why don't I get $1,000 bed and a $5,000 mattress? Because, after all, I need good sleep. And people will actually justify it. Because you do need to sleep and you want good sleep. You want to buy a good quality mattress and a good quality bed that would last you a long time and will be supportive towards your health. But at some point, it crosses necessity and gets into luxury. If I could afford a $5,000 mattress, I probably will buy it too, okay? I wonder how the sleep would be. I could only imagine. But not at the time when you know that that's not something you can actually afford. So we do have to use some discernment when it comes to this. Same with an apartment. I wanted to live in a nice apartment that is safe, in a good environment, that I can make my home till I one day hopefully buy a house. I think everybody deserves to live in a nice place that does not have pests, that is safe, that is conducive to their mental health. But would that justify for me to go rent a $4,000, $5,000, $10,000 monthly apartment? Of course not. That's ridiculous. You'll be surprised how we justify that with things such as clothes, shoes, and even our food. Buy quality, but at some point, it's not about quality. It just starts entering into the realm of luxury. The next thing is to set financial goals. Define short-term and long-term financial goals, such as having a retirement, emergency funds, and down payments on a house. Those are literally the fundamentals of building a good financial life. Having an emergency fund, just in case something happens, is your financial safety net. It turns most emergencies into inconveniences. And that is a good thing to always have so that you're not highly stressed living paycheck to paycheck. It's hard to live paycheck to paycheck when you have an emergency fund. You're not as worried. It gives you a financial safety net just in case something happens. And for most people, something does happen in life, and that's why it's good to have a 3 to 6 month emergency fund. And a pro tip I always have is that if my 6-month emergency fund is less than $10,000, I will always make sure I have a minimum $10,000. I always lean towards 6 months, but $10,000 minimum, and that's a lot of money. I'm currently building my emergency fund. I'm not yet to 6 months, but I hope to get there soon, and it takes sacrifice, but I know that it's going to reap a harvest of righteousness in the future. Same with retirement. At this age, a lot of people are not even thinking about retirement, but I am. Because if you look at my channel, you know I have content of the 73-year-old woman with 0 retirement, or even the 86-year-old woman, no retirements. Luckily, she had a house and a paid for car, and she was relying on $1,100 or maybe it was $1,200 per month Social Security, and that was very sad. That literally broke my heart, and it broke me so much so that I'm very focused on retirement. I've been saving for retirement since I was about 20 years old because I don't want to leave it for the future and not have anything saved. So think about those and make that your financial standing ground and contribute. And if you focus on that, over-consumerism on luxury goods and things that you don't need, you would realize how much better it is to have money in your account, in your Roth IRA, in your 401k, in your HSA, in your high yield savings account, the money you save for the down payments on a house that you'll be buying in the next few years versus having a Birkin bag, a BMW that is depreciating in value, or a Tesla that has dropped like 50k in value in 5 years. So you are able to prioritize your short-term and long-term goals over your desire for luxury goods. Because that desire, more likely than not, is going to be there for a long time, but it's able to prioritize over it. The next thing is to watch out and avoid lifestyle inflation or lifestyle creep. They're one and the same. As your income grows, resist the temptation to increase your spending. Maintain a modest living and save or invest your extra income. And it doesn't mean you can't upgrade your life a little bit. Maybe start going on better vacations. Those are very nice. What happens often to people when their income grows is that they inflate so much of their lives. They move to a better apartment, they get a better car, they go on more expensive vacations, they buy more expensive products, they eat out more. All that over like a 5 or 10% increase in your salary. And after taxes, the money that you get, you are spending way above because you've inflated your lifestyle. It is okay to increase your lifestyle a little bit. I know I definitely have, but still make sure that you are saving and investing, and those are being prioritized. And the tricky part about lifestyle inflation is that once you start inflating your lifestyle, those things that used to be a nice to have start to almost feel like a necessity, and you convince yourself that it's a necessity. So for example, let's say that you had an increase in your income and you decide, oh, I want to get a house cleaner. So now somebody's cleaning your house and you're paying, say, $250 per month for it. Well, all of a sudden, after a while, it doesn't become something that's just nice to have. It starts crawling into your necessities, your needs category. And that can become a stumbling block towards your financial future. If something happens, you go down with salary and now you need to cut it off. But you're like, well, I need it because I've been having it for the past 2 years. What am I going to do? You know what you can do. But because you've made that necessity when it's something that's nice to have, it will be hard for you to deflate your life to fit your new income.
Welcome to the next episode of What Should I Do With My Salary?
These parents are 37 and 39 years old, live in Alpine, New Jersey, and make $3.7 million a year as an attorney and a CIO. After taxes and 401k contributions, they're bringing home $77,180 each month. And you're about to see a classic case of people who have increased their expenses as their income has increased. Here is a list of their expenses, their debt, their cash savings, their investments, and they are left over with $2,390 each month.
And the last but absolutely not the least is to practice mindful spending. Be intentional with your purchases. Wait 24 hours before making a big purchase to ensure it is something you truly need and value. And I always do this. Whenever I want to purchase something, I just wait. I go back, maybe I put it in a cart, and I come back. Do I even remember to get it? Do I need it? I think about it. I shop around, try to find something that's cheaper. Is it something that I can find something more comparable at a different store, at a different online shop? And if it is, I put it in my budgets and then I purchase it. But I always try to avoid impulse shopping. If you're one of those people who like to shop impulsively, it is theorized that you don't even get the high from the actual purchase or from the goods. Oftentimes, most people get the high of shopping around and the anticipation of spending that much money or buying it rather than even having the item. So what you can do is go online shopping or window shopping and essentially convince yourself that you're going to purchase this stuff and put it in the cart. But then go back, empty your carts, and then do it all over again. Or even better yet, find a better use of your time rather than online shopping, because it can become a bad obsession. But value your time and your money. And even more, your money is better saved than spent. By living below your means, you can save more money for retirement and work towards financial independence and financial freedom. It's about making smart choices today and securing a better future for yourself tomorrow. Not just you, but you and your family. Overconsumption might be the reason why we are broke, but conscious efforts and disciplined habits can help us overcome it. Start living below your means today and pave the way to a secure and financially fulfilling future. And remember that true wealth It's not about having more but needing less. So with that, I'm bringing this video to an end. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope it added value to your life and you got something from it. I've been reflecting on my life. I have always tried to be very intentional about my spending, and my belief is that a lot of people will be so much further in their finances if they took time to look at their life, at their surroundings, and prioritize our needs versus our wants, because it's getting blurred in today's economy. We truly know within ourselves what our wants and what our needs. And so let me know your opinions in the comments section, and remember to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and share this video with anyone you think will benefit from this, and share with your friends, because I'm pretty sure that this is something a lot of us struggle with. It's a day-to-day journey, and it's a long, hard journey that we will be going through the rest of our lives. One step at a time, one day at a time, we can work towards overcoming and becoming better with our finances. So again, thank you all so much. Ring the notification bell so you do not miss out on any of my future videos, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.